So, what exactly is a recommendation engine, and how can AI being implemented effectively be able to start making the matching process so much greater, connecting people in ways that we just hadn't thought of before? Now, Derek, people often look at AI and they think about AI as this thing that's going to ruin human connection. It's going to take away all the jobs and do all these things. Whereas I'm more of the belief in the thought process that we can utilize it effectively as a tool to actually enhance connections in a way that never could have been done before. And I feel like you're going down the same path with that. So walk us through the vision of how you're utilizing AI to help incorporate these ideas as you build more and more of this out.
We're able to, through a recommendation engine, you can train a large language model, an LLM. And you can put in there, hey, we want to know what makes a successful client advisor relationship. And you can start asking a couple questions, and then you put a bunch of raw data in that you have, data like we're collecting a coupler, and you can ask this thing to now go to work. Hey, AI, help us predict, train this model. Let's figure out what's going on and learn more and more about humans, behavior. Why do people connect? When do they connect? What made that connection better than the last one? What's important to people, and so forth. And we can do this at massive scale. And so I think you're right. If we use AI and all the things that come with that correctly, it actually will enhance human connection instead of replace it. I mean, isn't it valuable if you get connected with the right advisor at the right time and place, and technology can help us do that just a little bit faster and a little bit better than, your postal code? I think so. There's a lot of good things that can happen. And we've talked a lot about this on our own podcast, but AI can also help do a lot of the mundane tasks, the backstage stuff that you were talking about. And when that stuff becomes automated, now I spend more time with my clients instead of less. So with Coupler, we're enhancing human connection, human relationships. We're understanding why, and we're able to do it faster and bigger than we'd ever be able to do without AI. You just have to have it. It's an amazing tool that can enhance things. So no, I don't think Terminator 2 is going to happen. I don't think Skynet's taken over. I think we're going to be okay. But that's what we're seeing, and that's why I'm so excited about it, is that it's a massive tool that we can use to just to be better at being human. It's kind of funny to say it that way, but that's what we're doing.
Well, the real question really should be is, will you be able to match the Terminator with the right financial advisor?
I need to ask our LLM that. We'll put it in our engine and see what happens. I should almost set up a fake profile of the Terminator. Here's what's important to me.
The first connection message will be, "I'll be back."
I'll be back. That's awesome.
So you could have some fun with your marketing on that, I think.
Oh, that's brilliant.
What's really interesting, so, and I think for people, if they're new to AI, there's a little apprehension there, and it's like, oh, well, now we're talking about AI and my financial advisor, and like, well, what about all my data? But in the experience that you're referencing, this is really just around setting some preferences and some ideas as to who you want to work with. So you mentioned, like, yeah, I love dogs. I would prefer to meet someone in person. So you would want someone maybe who's a little bit more localized and who actually also wants to meet people in person. Like maybe you have someone who literally lives a mile down the road from you, and they might be the perfect match, but they will only work with people in a virtual format. They won't even meet with you in person. Well, now that might not be a match. So you're using the AI to help segment those things, and you're teeing up a recommendation list that isn't, if I type into Google that I want to go and have a steak dinner, it's going to look at the places that are geographically, and then I got to go through the reviews, and I have to self-assess those things. Whereas if I had a tool that you've built that would help me find the best steak dinner, and I could ask for very specific things about what I like about my steak dinner, it's going to go through the reviews for me, and it's going to recommend the top 3 locations.
That's exactly right. It's going to speed all of this up for you. I mean, at the end of the day, Richard, why do people connect? How is rapport and ultimately trust formed? Shared commonalities, shared experiences, preferences, similar interests. And so that's what we're doing. So like our tool, we don't ask like for account numbers. We don't ask for your date of birth. We don't ask for your address. We don't ask for like how much money you have, because none of those are relevant until you know that you can trust the person you want to share that information with.
Mm.
Really, really important. So AI is just speeding up this process of building rapport and trust. And it goes back to saying I've heard for years, I don't know who coined it, but people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We're building that care connection, if you will. And then as soon as that happens, like, okay, Richard, I know you're the advisor for me. Here's everything. Help me. Right? That's what we try to tee off for our customers.
Yeah, I love that. Fantastic. Now, I mean, this is something that you've developed and focused a huge amount of your energy in the last basically 2 years time, roughly speaking. That
Yep.
is the initiation, the birth of Coupler. And so a lot of work that goes into launching a new business, startup phase, tons of stuff that has to be. You have to get data to be able to prove concept and so forth. While that's taking place, somewhere along the line, as a global world traveler, you also decided that you wanted to enhance connections with dads who are entrepreneurs that are maybe not getting the quality of time that they want with their kids. And you decided to form this organization called Rebel Dads. A lot to take on. Yeah, you mentioned being a glutton for punishment earlier. So
Yep.
I'm sure somewhere along the line, your wife said, "Sure, honey, go ahead and do that."
Go for it.
uh, what's the incredible spousal support that entrepreneurs receive, I think, is so necessary and so unbelievable. They don't get enough love and shout outs, I think, for
I
the
agree.
necessity that they have to allow an entrepreneur to actually thrive in an environment of change. So you've definitely got that in your world. What's the inspiration behind this for you, and what would you like people to be understand and take away from the Rebel Dads concept?
So Rebel Dads, I created it when I had a problem I saw. So being a entrepreneur is really hard, right? Most entrepreneurs will fail at least once, if not multiple times. There's typically not a playbook on how to be a good entrepreneur because there's so many different ways to do it. But being a father is also really challenging. And how do I make sure that I'm the best dad I can be for my kids? And I wanted to create a community of like-minded dads that help us become the best dads and entrepreneurs possible. And how do you balance all of it? And so that's what our mission's all about. We're trying to help as many dads as we can globally. We've got a bit of a fatherhood pandemic, especially in the States. There's over 18 million kids in the US that do not have a father at home right now. It's
Wow.
crazy. And it's interesting because my dad left my life. He's still alive, but he left my life about the same time my son came into my life. So as a dad, I didn't have someone to tell me what to do or not to do. I had to figure it out on my own. I'm like, man, there's got to be other dads out there I can ask for advice and lean on during tough times and celebrate good times and all of that. And so to kick it off, because I kind of like to do things in a big way if we can, I'm like, who's a really awesome dad that is the epitome of what we're trying to do? I'm like, well, Sir Richard Branson's pretty awesome. Long story short, Rich, we had our first gathering with Rebel Dads on Sir Richard Branson's island, Necker Island, at his home, and he was part of all of our things going on. It was absolutely epic. We're going back again now this next January for round two.
Yeah, I think you guys got challenged to some kind of a like a kite surfing or some sailing endeavor when you were there, some kind of a race.
Yeah, a whole bunch. So they had a whole bunch of Hobie Cat small sailboats that we were on, and Richard was going to sail with me. Actually, he's like, you know what? I'm going to race you guys over to this other island, and he jumped on a kite surf by himself and went all the way over there by himself. The guy's in his 70s and he's crushing it. So it was just so cool. Just it is a surreal experience for sure. But this is how you and I got connected. That's how I met Jason Lowe, through such just a wonderful community of dadpreneurs, I call them.
Yeah, it's incredible how things connections can be made, and what an incredible endeavor. The statistics about how many kids in the United States really are going through the experience of a fatherless experience. Just bringing light to that, I think, is valuable and important, Derek. So thank you for doing that on the program today.
Mhm.
And so thinking about closing this out, what are some key things that you would want to make sure our listeners can take away, whether it's about Rebel Dads, entrepreneurship, and just plotting forward to a bigger and brighter future?
Well, I don't think your path is in stone, right? So you got to follow your passions, take risks, challenge yourself. Those are some of the big things that really helped me. If you're interested in Rebel Dads, definitely go check out our website. You can learn more. We're trying to grow that community and just get a lot of like-minded folks together. But pursue your passions. And I think a big thing for me that really helped me focus and crystallize all the things I've wanted to do in life so far is that we created a vision board as a family years ago and cut out pictures, wrote down phrases of things we want in life. And then we just go after those, tangible, but also intangible, business, personal, health, all of those things. So if you don't have one, you should get one. And then you should also ask who can help me make this possible. That was a big one I learned this year on Richard's home, just learning about getting the right people to be on your team to help you do what you got to do.
Amazing. The concept of who, not how. And if you have the right who's, the hows will find a way to get themselves done.
Yes.
Set yourself a clear vision, have a great intention, and be willing to dream a little bit in the process and bring your family along for the ride. Did I summarize that pretty good?
Bingo. Yeah, because I brought my wife and son to Necker. They've been along the whole ride with me. They understand, and it's been amazing.
Fantastic. Derek, thanks again for being on the program today, for sharing so much value, so much about your journey, the ups and the downs, and the foresight you have about creating and forging ahead something brand new that the market is asking for. And for everyone watching, make sure to tune in next week as we continue to unpack the incredible stories of the entrepreneurs that are shaping tomorrow.